Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Mandy and I like to talk about makeup panning, nail polish, and things happening in my real life. Today I have an introduction to not a project pan, but a new series here on my channel that is replacing a few videos I've done in the past called What I'm Into. I'm changing it up, as you may have seen by the thumbnail, and I'm calling it Hot Topics. And these are the things I am into or that are hot topics for me over the last month. So if that sounds interesting, then stay tuned. Okay, so the hot topics I'm going to be discussing each month are going to be in a few categories. One is going to be food, any new snacks or foods I've tried or favorites that I'd like to share with you. Books, things that I've been reading, new books that I'm started, and books that I finished previously, which there will be more details of in my book journal videos, which I will have linked up in the cards. And also other media I'm consuming mainly would be like TV series or movies that I've watched that I'm into right now. And then finally, anything interesting that's going on in my life. So we're going to start with books, I guess, today, because I have them in front of me. So far, since December through January, or so far in January, I have finished 2 books this year. And I will try and put pictures for everything I'm talking about so you can see. I don't know if I will put links to anything in the description. If you want links to things in the description, let me know. But as of right now, I will just put images, as many images on the screen as I can. Let me scoot over to make room for those. Okay. So the first book I finished in 2024 in January was on January 1st. I finished the book Bitten. It was an audio, no, not audio. I don't listen to audiobooks. It was an electronic book that I had on my phone through Google Play Books, Google Books, whatever, that thing. Anyway, it is about a woman in a shape, words. It is about a werewolf woman and her origin story and such. The second book that I finished, I also started in December, and I finished on January 2nd, and that is this one I have a copy of in person. I'm holding it delicately because I did get water spilled on it, and all of the paint that is this beautiful cover is coming off, and now I have like white flecks on my hands, which is sad. I did cover it in tissue paper, sort of a faux book cover. But this is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is quite a hefty, beautiful book. I'm so sad that it got wet because the beautiful cover is coming off. But it is quite beautiful. I was going to keep it for my collection because it looks nice. There is a large section in the beginning of the book that is further reading and introductions and stuff about the times that it was written in, and then after that there are studies about it. I didn't read any of that because I'm just here for the story and not all the academic stuff. So like I said, you can see my review of this book in my book journal update. And now I have to put that down. Oh, so sad. It's such a beautiful book, but once that print got wet, it's just all over. Okay. So those are the 2 books I have finished in January, and then I have started 2 more books because I tend to read 2 at a time. The first book is from the library, and it is Journaling for Dummies. This is a guided book on different types of journaling. It goes over reflective journaling, bullet journaling, creative journaling, journaling for self-discovery, for spiritual purposes, for grieving. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm almost done with it. I'm not going through and doing all of the exercises. I do plan on picking up my own copy of this book to go back and work through. But I do enjoy journaling and writing, and this is one I am working on right now. And then I'm working on a fiction story. This is C.S. Lewis, That Hideous Strength. This is my own copy I picked up at a thrift store a while back. It is the third book in a trilogy. It is the Space Trilogy. The first two books were Out of the Silent Planet, and the second book is Pearlandria. This so far is the best book of the series. And I am almost finished with that. I will probably finish it at the beginning of January or February. So these are the books I am currently reading. I generally tend to have one nonfiction and one fiction, but sometimes I do two fictions in different formats to see how it goes. All right, let me put these down and I will get into the next topic. All right, and before I forget, let me know what books you're reading right now, and if you see anything I read, have you read it and do you recommend it? What did you think of it? Share your feedback. That's what we're here for. All right, next we're going to talk about the other media I've consumed over the last month or so. And that I say or so because this media has been consuming me since October, I believe. And that is The Vampire Diaries, its spin-off, The Originals, and the third series in that series of TV shows called Legacies. It all started in October when I was looking for something to watch, and I started watching Legacies, then soon realized it was actually a spin-off of The Vampire Diaries, which I had seen most of the first season of a long time ago when it first came out. So I went and looked, and there are 8 seasons of The Vampire Diaries that were produced. So I started watching them from the beginning because there were some things that in Legacies refer back to those original characters, so I figured I might as well follow the whole story of Mystic Falls, Virginia, and all the characters involved there from the beginning. So I started with Vampire Diaries, and I watched that up in order until I got to the season which the Originals became a spin-off of. The characters were introduced in the Vampire Diaries, and they got their own series. So then I would alternate between a season of the Originals and a season of the Vampire Diaries. There is some overlap between the stories. So occasionally I would have to stop mid-season and go back and catch up to be relevant on what was going on in each storyline. And then finally, once I completed the Originals, I went back and restarted Legacies, and now things are making so much more sense and have much more meaning to them. If you enjoy supernatural teen drama, as best I can describe it, I do recommend Vampire Diaries if you haven't already seen it like me. Like I said, I watched it a long time ago but never finished it, or I started it but never finished it. Did not know the Originals was a spin-off of it. I had it on my Netflix want to watch list until it was removed from Netflix. So I should go over that and talk about where you can find these particular series. So both Vampire Diaries and the Originals were originally on Netflix. They are no longer are. The Vampire Diaries can be found on Max or HBO Max, all 8 seasons. And then the Originals is on Amazon or Prime Video. And that has 5 seasons. 5 seasons of the Originals, and Legacies is still on Netflix. There are 4 seasons of that available. And I enjoyed it so much that even though the books, because the Vampire Diaries is based on books, even though they look like they're not well written, I haven't actually read it. I did find one in a thrift store and picked up the first issue, copy, edition, 2 stories put together in one. Anyway, I picked that up, and I'm looking forward to reading it and seeing which I think is better, if the book is better or the TV series. If you have read the book and you think it's, let me know your opinion, whether you think the TV series is better or worse. It's hard to tell. I haven't read it, so I'm looking forward to giving my comparisons. And speaking of thrift stores, I'll talk about my next subject, which is going to be things that are happening or have happened in my life over the last month. So during the holidays, my daughter came to visit me, and we went on a whirlwind 4-day expedition of shopping and shopping and more shopping. We started by going to IKEA, and while we were down by IKEA, we also went to a half-price bookstore, and we bought several books because we are both avidly into reading right now. And we stopped at a thrift store and picked up more books. And yeah, and we also, on another day, we went to the Goodwill bins. We both are avid thrift store shoppers, and I had never been to the bins or the outlet store. And so she went with me, or we went together, and I came back with quite a lot of clothing. I felt it was quite successful for my first trip, and I'm looking forward to going again. I was hesitant to go because I do get overwhelmed in places that are crowded and noisy and too many people, but thankfully it was fairly quiet. There weren't too many people, and when there were large crowds of people, I would just work in an area that wasn't. And if you don't know what the bins or the Goodwill outlet is, it is a outlet where they take all the things that either weren't good enough to go to the store or did not sell in the store, and they put them in giant bins, and you go through them and you pick out items you want and buy them by weight. I also did pick up a few household items as well, but mostly I spent $20 on clothes, and I got several pairs of leggings, a sports bra, some t-shirts, some long sleeve t-shirts, and a couple pairs of jeans. So I think it was all successful. Everything was washed once it was home, and everything has fit. So I really enjoyed that. And yeah, and then also most recently this month, during beginning of January, right before my birthday, which was on the 11th, no, right after my birthday actually, a friend from out of town came to visit Seattle. And so my daughter and I met with them, and we went and did some sightseeing. We took them to the Seattle Library, gave them a tour of that because it is an architectural interest, and I love books and I love architecture, so we went there. We went to the famous Pike Place Market, and the world's oldest surviving, continuously running comic book store. And then we went to Mopop Museum, which is the, I believe, modern pop culture museum. I will put something about it in here. And at the time, they were having an exhibit for the animators who created Coraline. We went and saw that as well. It was my first time going to the Mopop. It is home of the Science Fiction Museum, the Experience Music Project. And it was a really fun experience getting to see all those things and going ooh and ah about all the fun, nerdy, sci-fi, fantasy things, because there's a whole section on sci-fi, there's a whole section on fantasy, and there is a section on horror, as well as the featured section on the Coraline producers, animators, which I don't remember, but it made me want to, I have seen Coraline, but it made me want to see their other movies, which I haven't seen. And they had lots of nice dioramas and things about the movies, so it was a really fun, exciting experience. And my daughter and I geeked out over the horror section, where they had a subsection about vampires, because I really love vampires. So it's my daughter, and I will insert a picture of me in their prop coffin, and I look so tiny. I look like a tiny human in that thing, but it is made for people of all sizes. So I'm 5'6", so anybody who's bigger would look appropriate in there. And then finally, we'll talk about food and drink, things I've consumed physically. I don't really have any drinks to talk about that I am particularly excited about right now, but I am a fan of potato chips, and I think last time I did one of these videos I talked about pretzels, popcorn, something. I did get suggestions from, I believe, Kim at Teacher Loves Beauty to try Dot's pretzels. I did try the honey mustard, I believe, and they were quite good. Dental problems prevented me from enjoying them fully, but they were good. But I am a fan of potato chips. So I'd like to share with you my favorite potato chips, one of which is no longer available. It was from Ruffles. It came out a couple years ago. It was their version for America of the Canadian all-dressed potato chips. I love that. A little bit salt and vinegar, a little bit barbecue, a little bit ranch, cheddar, I don't know. It's all dressed. And if you're from Canada and you enjoy all dressed potato chips, let me know. And if anybody knows where to find any, let me know. Ruffles made them, and I enjoyed them. I picked them up as long as I could until they were no longer available. And I also found for a little while Whole Foods in their 365 did have some as well, and they've stopped making them as well. I wish, brands would make things for longer, but maybe they weren't as popular as I thought they were. I don't know. I really enjoyed them. And then my second favorite flavor of potato chips currently is an Asian brand. They are honey butter flavored potato chips. There are two brands that I know of that I'm able to get at my local Asian store. And I will put a picture of my favorite brand. I also, at a local Asian restaurant, found it was sort of a fast food place, and they served actual freshly made honey butter chips, and they were delicious. They're a little bit sweet, a little bit salty, crunchy, ooey, gooey, at least the real ones, because they're honey and butter, so they're a bit sticky. But otherwise, yeah, just a nice combination of a little sweet, a little salt. I think that's my sweet spot, is something that's a little bit sweet and a little bit salty. Same with the all dressed. They were a little bit of both and a little bit tangy as well. But none, the honey butter I can get when I go to my Asian grocery store. They come in very small bags, and I go through them quite quickly. Otherwise, in the regular grocery store, there aren't very many flavors that I am interested in. Most of them these days are either cheesy or hot and spicy. So if you have one that you are particularly fond of and you think that would meet my flavor profile, I do like regular plain potato chips, and I also like barbecue potato chips. Recently, I tried from Tim's Cascade chips, their Parmesan garlic, and those were less Parmesan-y and very garlicky. If you've ever had the opportunity or mistake of eating a whole clove of garlic, that is what these potato chips are like. Very heavy on the garlic, and not to say that's a bad thing, it's just not always what you want. I like them enough that I would buy them again in the future, but I was hoping there would be a little more Parmesan flavor to them. But yeah, if you've tried the Parmesan garlic chips from Tim's, let me know. And yeah, I think that is everything I want to talk about. So if you have any favorite potato chips or snacks or drinks, I like tea, coffee, soda, let me know. And if you any feedback from any of the things I talked about is much appreciated. I want this to be a two-way conversation of all the things that we're interested in. And if there is a topic you would like me to talk about that I didn't talk about, then let me know also in the comment section down below. But until my next video, take care of yourselves, stay true to you, and I'm looking forward to sharing my hot topics for next month. See you later. Bye!